Hello guys, and welcome back to our channel today. We'll go over 10 Roblox SCP games. SCP games are lighthearted and enjoyable. SCP Anomaly Breach, in particular, is a survival game in which you must complete numerous missions. As a result, you'll be able to get out of the facility. The game is quite frightening. Let's have a peek at these games, shall we? Number 1. Site-76 Prison Anomalies. As for the roles, you'll be in charge of containing both inmates and strange oddities, unique monsters, and so on in a hidden prison facility inspired by SCP. You can play as a Foundation member, tasked with keeping the facility operational and apprehending fugitives or even monsters. As a prisoner, you can start riots, release monsters, and assassinate players. You can also start heists and steal strange objects. Your objective is to escape and join the chaotic insurgency. As a Foundation member, you can be a scientist, a staff overseer, a site director, a security officer, or a task force member. The game includes tasks that you must complete in order to earn Roblox badges. You can also edit or customize your appearance. The game features entities and anomalies. Number 2. SCP Roleplay. If a player is new to the game, they'll start with a level 0 card and the 3 default teams roles that are the following: Scientific Department, Security Department, Class D. Although these 3 roles don't require any XP to unlock, they're the first playable roles in the game. If you keep playing, you'll increase your XP every minute by moving around, and also you will be able to unlock the teams in your card would be upgraded, as well as your ranks would be promoted. If you reach 60 XP enough, you will be able to unlock the first combatant role in-game, known as Mobile Task Force, and hostile role in-game, known as Chaos Insurgency. The game features various guns here, like the M4 Glock, and more. Be mindful of the SCP creatures, though, because they can kill people from the prison is pretty neat, and the design is quite likable. There are multiple quests here that you can finish as well. Number 3. SCP-R Breach. Because this is a horror first-person shooter, you should expect jump scares and spoilage-based gameplay. The game itself includes a variety of positions and occupations, as well as objectives that are either to escape or to kill. It also includes fully functional features for both guns and abilities. The game is mainly dependent on rounds, with different objectives depending on whether you're a trooper, neutral, or SCP monster. It's a lighthearted game that's a lot of fun. A survival game is also available, in which you must complete numerous missions in order to leave the facility. The game is quite frightening, and I strongly advise you not to play it. If you're a chicken, there are a few things you can do, including over 20 plus SCP creatures in the game that roam and kill people. It's always wise to be very careful, but you can always utilize the game's weapons and items to navigate your way into it. Number 4. SCP-3008 Lone Survivor. Thawmill Games created SCP-3008, a game based on the SCP narrative of the same name. Explore the IKEA store, construct a base from furniture, eat some meatballs, and attempt to avoid the mutated staff's attacks. Scraping furniture to obtain crafting components, various traps, skill improvements with distinct upgrade pathways, power-ups, and more are among the game mechanics. New Crad, 2 coders, and a concept artist make up the core crew, which began development in September 2017 and continues to this day. The major releases are free, however, you must subscribe to the creator's Patreon to receive the most recent releases. Number 5. Site-61 Roleplay. This is a role-playing game, and its primary use is for the research and containment of SCPs. I can't say much for the game, but it's pretty similar to SCP Roleplay, with only a few noticeable differences. Roblox Area 47 takes players into a science fiction world filled with alien creatures and questions that need to be answered. Area 47 is an underground facility, and Roblox players can either enter it as a scientist, a member of the security team, or as a part of the Chaos Insurgency who are against what is happening there. Starting games like these can be daunting. That can even be true for players who are veterans of Roblox Area 47. Number 6. Area 47. Welcome to Area 47, a subterranean facility housing abnormal artifacts that violate human nature's laws. While the game contains aspects that are comparable to those seen in other role-playing games, the formula is the same as in the prior games I mentioned. You can play as a scientist or a member of the chaotic insurgency who wants to destroy the Foundation, plunder the family, or just wander about the sewers. Area 47 is a fascinating place. It's both realistic and terrifying. If you haven't given this game a try yet, then you're missing big time. Please go and check it out. It's worth it. Number 7. SCP Demonstration Facility Site-101. It is another SCP game, but in here you can experience zombie outbreaks SCP-008, SCP-173, and the horrifying Shy Guy is known as SCP-096. There's also Burning Man Alligator, Lizard Mask, and Plague Doctor is SCP-049 Old Guy or SCP-106 Ealing Slime Claw Monster, and many more. There are so many I can't even name them all. In short, there are various SCP creatures here, and you can play as a Class D prisoner, Chaos of Insurgency, and Security Department. This one is like Prisoner vs. Security vs. Criminals. Well, that's not all that objective but a fun game. There are also various weapons here too for the security to use. The fun thing about this game is you can kill people randomly, but for the most part, it's a role-playing game. Number 8. Site Delta. Goods presently owns Site Delta, a Roblox SCPF game. Site Delta is a facility that helps the Foundation contain anomalous objects, entities, and phenomena. It is located in an undisclosed location. From security to research to engineering, the facility is home to some of the top people in their areas. As you've already observed, this game has the same purpose as previous SCP games, to secure anomalies and SCP creatures. This is another role-playing game with fairly detailed architecture, particularly for the details of the buildings and such. All of the content comes from SCP's website. The mechanics are nearly identical to those of the other SCP games I discussed previously. Number 9. SCP-096. This one is a very rare one to encounter. This one is caused when SCP-096 sees his target and his target leaves the server. When he goes into panicking, his arms bug and stays stretched out rather than covering his face. This one has been attempted to fix several times, and it still has not been fixed at the moment. The only way to fix this one is by him chasing a new target and successfully killing them. The Shy Guy will be the prime antagonist in this game. Basically, you guys aren't amazed, and a Shy Guy is roaming to hunt you cowards. There's no exit in the game, so all you gotta do is run the maze randomly generated and can be a bit crazy, especially for first-timers, and there you have it. This game is very simple to play. If SCP-096 is sitting down, look at his face and he'll start getting mad. Then you need to run for as long as possible. However, as you're running away from SCP-096, you find that he is gaining on you at a fast rate. The highest time you can possibly get without the Game Pass is around 4 to 5 seconds. With the Game Pass, you can get an infinite amount of time. Number 10. SCP-432. SCP-432, created by Sky Midnight Labs in 2012 Q, is about exploring a canon SCP. To summarize the SCP, it holds the features of a storage cabinet with the inside almost representing a maze with SCP-432-1 roaming the maze looking for its next prey. You play as a D class with the given objective of collecting 5 artifacts and returning safely with the possessions. SCP-432. Equipped with a flashlight and a couple of glow sticks, you are left with very little light. You must also be on the watch for SCP-4321 and the artifacts. Once you have the artifacts, search for a metal door and escape the cabinet. Currently, there is another game with the same idea with a different purpose, which is about finding a box somewhere in the maze. Overall, it's a good game, and you can have some good spooks from it. These games are fun to play, and everyone should give them a try. Thanks a lot for watching. That's all for today. If you like what you see here, don't forget to hit like and leave a comment on what you think about these games. Subscribe to the channel if you haven't yet, and turn on the post notification for more amazing videos and to be the first to be updated whenever we upload a new video. Stay safe, and we'll see you in our next video.